Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar with quite a long title, Identity Visibility in Practice, How an Entitlement and Role Landscape Health Check Strengthens Authorization Governance. It will be really an exciting topic, and Crystal and I will guide you to roughly 30 to most likely 40 minutes of a very interactive discussions where we have a lot of kind of interaction between the both of us, but also a bit of deep dives into the product NEXIS 4 that's supporting the health check. My name is Heiko Planl, and I'm the CEO of NEXIS. And today I'm together with Crystal. Crystal, would you like to give an introduction as well?
Yes, I'm Crystal Nicolau. I'm EM lead consultant in NEXIS Consult, and today I will be joining Heiko in discussing about NEXIS.
Great, thank you. So we probably can close the slides for a while until we come back to the final to some content slides again. Yeah. So as I made the introduction, identity, visibility, and intelligence platform, as well as kind of other capabilities that are incorporated in the health check we are kind of explaining to you today. So basically, why do we need a health check? So basically, there is a good analogy when talking about you as a person. So even if you feel good, you go regularly to the doctor and you have a kind of a checkup and figure out, hey, is everything really ongoing? And this is a good, I think, a good parallel to identity and access management, and especially authorization governance, which incorporates roles and policy and kind of that stuff. So a lot of you out there who are responsible for IGA probably suffer when it comes to access review, to role recertifications, to access recertifications and this kind of stuff, as those topics are often done from a, so to say, very technical point of view. But at the end of the day, your colleagues on the business side, be it an HR manager or a finance manager, are really suffering from understanding who in their department, who in their team is actually allowed to do what, and should those persons be allowed to do what they are currently assigned to. Crystal, I think you have probably the same observations from your experience when it comes to delivering NEXIS or IGA to customers, do you?
I think these topics are quite, let's say, your analogy is very good. I think these topics are, let's say, simple in nature, but can become very complicated very fast. And here is where NEXIS can help a lot, because what he perfectly does is closing the gap in the understanding and also make it a little bit friendlier. So not only it's very practical, but it's also a little bit friendlier, especially to business. So the visualizations that are offered are quite easy. So yes, in a nutshell, I agree with you. But of course, we need to talk a little bit more because there are many topics here.
Absolutely, absolutely. When we start with the first one, where we at NEXIS are quite proud of. So recently, Gartner published a hype cycle on digital identity as well as on zero trust technologies. And in both hype cycles, we've been mentioned, which is great for us. But I think even greater is that they kind of coined a new area of how to call certain parts of IAM. They coined the term IVIP, Identity, Visibility, and Intelligence Platforms. And I really loved it, basically, as it describes quite precise what we are actually doing, kind of sitting on top on different IAM tools and software stacks, kind of aggregating this information, making it visible to the business department and providing intelligence. So basically what's really in the data, because when you have nowadays quite a lot of complexity, and there are so many customers out there that don't have one IGA systems, they have probably two when it comes to mergers and acquisitions, or even more when they have different kind of legal entities and this kind of stuff. And then you get really a messy landscapes. And I can imagine for business owners, it's nearly impossible to get really a comfortable feeling when they are making decisions on who really is allowed to access their systems. And there are so many important systems out there where we really should take authorization governance. So basically, who is allowed to do what, who will be assigned to roles. And I think it doesn't make a big difference whether we are talking about RBAC, role-based access control, ABAC, attribute-based access control, or even PBAC when it comes to policies. At the end, it's always the same. You have to assign those rights to some identities and figure out who's allowed to do what. And this is something which is, so to say, kind of our mission, that we really help the business users and the business owners to understand what they are really doing and making the processes far more easier. And when I think about AI nexus reviews, which was the other term Gartner lined out, it's with this amount of data, you have to provide certain technologies in order to make it easier for the business department. And everyone is talking about AI now since OpenAI released ChatGPT. However, there has been AI support in the sense of machine learning like we do, and we do Gen AI for sure as well, quite a long time out there. And with the right mix of combinations and the right mix of approaches on how to incorporate AI into your systems, you really can make the difference for customers. Probably diving deeper into some of the capabilities that are used within the health check. I think one of the most important will be to kind of figuring out the role landscape and kind of creating roles and figuring outliers with the help of identity, with the help of the identity grid. What's your experience with that, Crystal?
So for me, first of all, congratulations about Gartner. The most important thing here will not be, as you well put it, the recognition itself, which is very nice to have, but the recognition of the fact that this was needed. This was indeed a gap there, the gap that can be filled, and it's very important. And going back to your question, my experience is the fact that, or my experience can translate into the fact that we are living into a very live landscape. So you don't do this once and it's written in stone like the 10 Commandments and there it will die. As you well said, mergers, but even people changing, business is changing, business processes are changing. So here is where Nexus is coming by providing, let's say, closing completely the difference between onboarding an application from the very first time, so authorization concept, creating the first roles, creating the permissions, the first roles, bundling them together, then checking, and we'll see this identity grid in a moment, very shortly. It's very easy to see what has been changed. It's very easy to react. AI in this case, which will, of course, help, like any other tool that is indeed well used. And with this, you can not only control what people have, or so what you give to somebody in permission right, or what you get away from them, also very important part, what you recertify, so compliance also will help here. But also it will help you react quickly. This is very important in our field.
Absolutely. And you mentioned you will show the identity grid in a couple of seconds. A very interesting thing is you started with the authorization concept, which is basically required for so many regulated and DORA regulated customers, and so many others are doing it as well, basically kind of documenting on what an application basically looks like, what are the information assets, and first and foremost, what kinds of entitlements, roles, and policies are used within these applications. Are there critical entitlements? Are there SOD requirements in? And I think this kind of holistic overview is super important for customers, and especially there are not that many tools out, and to my knowledge, it's only us that provide a kind of end-to-end integration between an application, the IGAs, and the IGA system. So basically, if you have Nexus 4 as a kind of gateway for every new stuff, you have a completely new user experience, as you don't send emails around or Excel spreadsheets when it comes to application onboarding, when you require new entitlements, which is in today's time, when we talk about agility and kind of very, very fast release cycles, you don't have this kind of, we do one big release once a year or probably every 2 years. That times are over. So basically, when you roll out new functionality in short cycles, you might have quite a lot of changes in your roles and entitlement landscapes, which is a very cumbersome job when you do it based on email. With the central IAM team. And so when applications owners have the self-service possibilities in a kind of a decentralized way to put it in, and on the other hand, there is a tool that allows to have the control that everything will be compliant. I think that's a very crucial step for modern enterprises.
Not only compliance, if I may, but this is the entry point in the end. And we've seen so many times, versioning, controlling in Word documents spread around, nobody finds them. So more than compliance part, which is absolutely very important and is regulated, you basically need to understand what one application is doing, and even, or least very important, how the applications are acting in a business process, because they do not live by themselves. We don't care about them this way. You can close the gap. You can close the gap, and I think this is the most important part of our discussion. You can close the gap by having this and be able to create in one flow. So decentralized, you have a self-service, which is very important, because if not, in the end, you will grow the IAM team up to a point that it's impossible to maintain. Of course, they cannot know anything or everything about the application. So here are the application owners that come into place, and they can do this for themselves. You have a change, you just do it. And it is automatically replicated into the IAM systems in the end. So this is quite important, because up to now, we will be discussing about a Word document or an Excel, put there with some approvals via email, with somebody who will do the work manually, error prone, time loss, and everything. And this is something that is the entry point that Nexis can offer. So closing this bridge between them. And discussing about the identity grid. The identity grid is maybe one of the nicest feature of Nexis, because you can just see. We quickly just share my screen. You can just see what is happening there. So this will be an identity grid, of course, for part, and you will see the entitlements, and you will see the identities. And here, the system, what we'll do is try to bundle together what we have. So we immediately can see that here we will have a potential role. It's something that can be brought together, and we need to add more characteristics. And to show you, it's very easy to just go from here and try to put more information here, like, for example, location, departments, job functions. Just clicking around, you add additional attributes, like function in this case. You can, of course, make it easier to see. And all of a sudden, we see that up to here, we have service consultants, and from here on, we have portfolio managers. And of course, we can continue, we can add even more. So it's quite an easy thing to do. And we can see here, we can construct so easy, a role can be seen, and it's very visual. It's absolutely visual. You can see the role created. You can see what is outside, outliers. And the generation of business roles, as you can see, it's absolutely, in my opinion, a dream. When you started doing that, probably all of us started doing with some Excels or some other strange forms. And here you have something that, first of all, is not so technical, can be understood and can be done by anybody. So I think this is one of the top features. You can really, really see And it's the basis that's helping us to construct everything that we discussed about. I think for now, it's enough. The sky is the limit with this one. Absolutely, the sky is the limit. So unfortunately, we don't have time to show this. But this is where, let's say, a business analyst will spend most of his time creating this.
I believe so. What I like really much, and probably you as well. So you talked a bit about creating role when you see kind of this kind of areas, the gray areas that belong together. What I really love is to get an overview on whether it's an outlier or not. So when we look at the orange lines, for example, there is the very, very long single square row, single square line on the right side. And basically, when you see it, you might say, probably this is an outlier with one individual over permission. But as the person is obviously working in the orange department, it might relate to his or her job function. And I think you as a manager can have then really quite a fast understanding on how those things belong together. And as you said, figuring this out with a spreadsheet, it's kind of a task that's nearly impossible. So I have a testament from customer conversation that they really tremendously wrap down the time. What does access review, role design, and this kind of stuff took compared to the time when they have been using spreadsheets or even Word documents to figure out on who should be responsible for what.
You can believe me because I've started from there. So spreadsheets and then some Pythons and so on.
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting. Also, you are absolutely right. It's not about roles, but you can really interpret and then you can, very important, start asking questions. Maybe there is a process there that failed with those two persons. Maybe the mover process failed and they've accumulated over time. This is something that we can recertify, we can easily see. So as I've told you, sky is the limit because now you have a very nice visualization and you can understand where to go from here. In something that was quite complicated because, of course, in the real world, so what we've shown is a case, it's quite close to reality, but not so much. A person can have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. So we are talking about complex environments, and then it's not so easy to understand.
Yep.
Also, you create a role, you see what is there, what is left, and you can go from there in an iterative way. That's why I said this is a live, it's a living, breathing animal, if you want.
Absolutely. And what I really like, and probably that's bridging now over to the health check. You guys at IC Consult have created the health check for entitlement and role landscape. So to kind of help customers to figure out, to get an understanding about the status quo, whether they are super in shape or whether they have messy landscapes and have an understanding what's going on. Is this right and a good summary?
Yes, of course, you use the doctor analogy, and we are all half scared of doctors, and we are, you go to them and they say, yeah, not so good, let's improve. Our goal is very simple. Let's detect it as soon as possible. Let's detect it as soon as possible. Let's see, sorry for the noise. Let's detect it as soon as possible. Let's see what we can solve or what is really the part that can be solved as soon as possible. So if you let things accumulating, they will transform in a snowball. I don't know how to explain it better. So what we are offering is with a very, very low effort from the client, very low effort. So some data provided, we can check his landscape, and we'll talk more in detail. We can also provide a comparison with, let's say, some industry peers or industry standard. And very important, we can also say where you can go from there, which is also a very important part. So not only, oh, this is your situation and that's it, we don't care about anymore, but also offer some real insights. You can do that, you can do that. So this can be transformed in the future in an action plan, which is very important. And
Absolutely. So that at the end, the client has a kind of a roadmap with action-able recommendations, so they have a clear understanding what's not looking good today and what do you have to do tomorrow to get it improved. So like probably the real world doctor is saying, okay, you are a little bit too heavy white, better to reduce your calories and do a bit of sports, and then you have also a clear action plan on how to improve your health. I think that picture nails it somehow.
Of course, playing around is the analogy, then you need to do it. So,
Ab,
but at least you know about it.
ab,
I'm talking
ab,
from experience, okay?
Absolutely, but this would be a recommendation anyway for clients. So when you have insights that your authorization landscape and your role landscape is messy, you have to do something. So whether it's doing it with the tool we recommend or finding another way to do it, I think kind of when you have an understanding that it's smelly, it's dirty, it's messy, then you really have to take care about it, because normally problems are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it's far harder to resolve them.
Exactly. In the end, you will be forced to act.
Yeah.
If you know upfront and you have a plan, then you are proactive.
Yeah.
If you don't, in the end, you will get reactive and you will be forced to do it. Probably it will cost more. It will be more complicated. Exactly as in our analogy. Ignore a health issue, and 2 years from now, it will be a bigger health issue.
Yeah. Absolutely. Probably let's summarize the outcomes a bit you guys have designed. So you said you get a good understanding about the kind of role and entitlement structure, and I think including the visualizations you can retrieve from the identity grid. So management teams at customers or budget owners will most likely have a very good understanding how their entitlement landscape looks like. And I think so there is the common saying, seeing is believing. Basically, you have probably a feeling as an IM product owner or so, and you're saying to your management, it's currently not good, but you basically fail to get the proof to kind of convince someone by providing data or even better visualizations, and providing proper charts is super helpful from my point of view.
It might be the case when you are in the happy situation and your situation, maybe it's even better than you thought. However, this visualization will show you basically how to proceed from there. Even if the issue is small, how to solve it. And if the issue is bigger, will allow you, a big issue is a problem that you are basically scared about. It's so big that nobody knows how to deal with it. This kind of visualization, this kind of analysis, what is helping you do is breaking it into smaller parts and solve it. So this would be the most interesting part. I think we can go to the next one and see what you will gain, because we are discussing about what you will gain from a health check. As we've discussed, you will gain a better understanding. This is very interesting because you will have basically visual outputs, and also understandable at many levels, because in general we are creating an output which is very easily understandable by technical guys, but not so much for the manager. So this is a visualization that really helps everybody at their level to understand, because all the levels are important. You really need to know where are you coming from. You are the benchmark comparison we've discussed, a roadmap, very important. What are your goals? We are discussing with the customer and ask, okay, what are your goals? What do you want to achieve? When do you want to achieve it? We can design this roadmap. And this is very important. It will help you put the right resources where they belong and do the actions that belong first, so prioritize.
Okay, I think what might be also interesting, as to my understanding, most people haven't seen it in action, is what we are calling simulation of an optimized role model. So how can good look like? Can you probably tell us a little bit more about that as well? So
yes. Sorry.
So the kind of simulation part, when you use the identity grid and show, probably like we've done earlier a bit before, the kind of how a future target picture can look like with an less complexity. I think that's helpful as well. So most likely within a health check, to my understanding at least, you won't be able to clear all of your role landscape and entitlement landscape, but you can get a really good understanding on, for example, on a department level, on how will good look like after you really have dived into the details and worked on this stuff, right?
Yes, of course, we need to understand that this health check is a limited activity, and the objective is to obtain what we've discussed. Of course, you cannot create or you cannot expect from a health check to have the solution there already done. It will show you some examples, of course, and very important, it will tell you, hey, you can get a coverage if you do this action, you will get a coverage of how much percent that is absolutely in the roles. And this will make your life easier because of several reasons. Mainly because you have a good understanding. It is very easy to use. Many times, for example, giving somebody entitlements directly, it's quite complicated. Nobody understands them. Well, a role is quite easy to understand for businesses, easy to understand, hey, what are you really say yes to, instead of just saying yes, hey, I will give you an entitlement, which is called AD underscore something, a business role that is saying this will allow you to perform this business process up to one point, then it's absolutely perfect. So you can understand. So this is what you will obtain in itself.
Okay. No, that sounds good. And how can we get started? So when someone is reaching out to you and saying, "Hey, I want to have this health check," what's your recommendation for clients out there to have a valid starting point?
First of all, talk to us, you guys. But of course, this is quite let's say it's a clear process because it's quite structured. It has 4 steps. The first step, of course, we need to enter a little bit of not so technical details, but we need to understand, first of all, we need to provision. Basically, we are setting up the NEXIS 4 environment, many times in the client, but can be offered as a software as service solution as well. Then the next step will be to import the data that you have. So, of course, your data is basically the basic of everything, and we will import it in general from an IDM system. We can import basically right now from everything, either through already done connectors or connectors that can be developed. Then the most important part, of course, will be the data analysis, where you evaluate the quality, you simulate some role creations, you do some validations, you discuss with the client, and of course, then we have the results. Very interesting and very important. You have the
That sounds good. I think one important thing for IAM product owners, application owners out there, is that this whole kind of process can work in a read-only mode. So basically, you grab the data into the NEXIS 4 instance and you do the analysis without kind of writing back the results. So no one has to be afraid to do a proper kind of tool introduction or so. So it's more a system for examination in the first step, at least in the context of the health check. So you fetch the data out, you have it in in if the customer decides for a Docker image or a virtual machine, then it's on the customer side. So no data is leaving the kind of premises, so to say, even if it's a virtual cloud premises of the customer. If you go for Nexus SaaS, for sure, then you might have some clarifications to do for the data handling, but you can have it in a really, really simple way as you come in with your tool set and the toolkits with Nexus 4. You fetch in the data, everything stays at the customer, nothing is written back to production. I guess that's super important for those people who want to start very quickly on short notice without having a heavy write process to get an software officially approved to be used in production, right?
Absolutely. We are discussing in the end about a health check designed to be fast, effective, and to be honest, very cheap comparing with what is offering. So you are absolutely right. The thing is that you can start very quickly. Your data are secure. Of course, you can even apply some form of data anonymization if you want, because if this is absolutely needed. But in general, they are not data that are so on the GDPR side and so on. However, you can basically obtain between 3 and 4 weeks.
Okay.
You can obtain a result.
Yeah, 3 and 4 weeks is great. And I really like that you outlined the kind of data anonymization thingy, because some customers are really concerned about PI data. And as you said, basically, I don't need the name and the first name and the last name and the birth date, kind of this stuff, as all the authorizations are normally aligned to organizational units, to job functions, to some other attributes. But I think it's super rare that there are groups out there. All Michaels are in the Michael group, and all people are with the last name Smith are in the Smith group. So this doesn't make sense from a perspective of authorization.
That would be interesting to see, you know.
So we don't need it. However, so being in the club of hikers in a company might be a new approach for authorizations. So we should think about it.
We will be more than happy to see it. However, the most important thing is that it can be done. In general, it is not, of course, but you need to offer the client the possibility to be absolutely sure that his data are okay and safe.
You said 3 to 4 weeks, then you will done. Then you will have the kind of most likely final presentation to the different stakeholders. So presenting the roadmap with the actionable recommendations. So if everything is fine, you will shake the customer's hand, say congratulations about their beautiful authorization landscape. If not, you will provide a clear roadmap on how to improve. And then it's more or less up to the team there to decide whether they are moving on with you or whether they ignore the fact that it's a bit messy, right?
Absolutely. In the end, everybody is constructing their own, let's say, priorities. However, of course, that we are not targeting for doing it and then problem solved. In general, we are offering, of course, the client is, we will be more than happy to participate, offer business consultant. Many times we have follow-up projects. Initiative that it's a starting point and can be seen like a starting point, or can be seen always like a one-time activity that is helping you understand where you are. And that's it. Maybe you just need an evaluation. And maybe you will do this regular checkup. Going back to our first analogy, we are doing the regular checkup. It's absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Problem solved. Absolutely.
No, that sounds great. I think we walked through the most important things. We talked a bit about the capabilities at the beginning when we think about the authorization concept for DORA regulated companies, to kind of streamline onboarding of applications, to streamline creation of entitlements and roles. You showed a great example about the identity grid on how easy it's to visualize. So following the paradigm, seeing is believing, creating roles from based on this kind of visualizations, or kind of removing entitlements from single individuals. When I see, okay, there are outliers every now and then, you can get really rid of this. Then we talked about the health check and its outcomes, so that you can easily provide an overview on entitlements and role landscapes. As the health check is called on your side, visualization of kind of entitlement structures, but also insights to data quality. I've seen on the slides kind of orphaned accounts and this kind of stuff. So basically, when things are really not up to date, we talked a bit about kind of the simulation of role creation with more or less companies, with more or less complexity. So depending on you as a probably, let's say, manufacturing company without any regulations, you are happy with less roles. And when you are regulated, you have to be more fine-grained in order most likely to fit the regulations. And last but not least, customers will get the prioritized roadmap with actionable recommendations. And there is a very clean and precise process with 4 phases, kind of kicking it off, fetching the data into your examination environment based on NEXIS 4. I think we haven't mentioned it very explicitly. It's kind of IGA tool agnostic. So whether you're using SailPoint, One Identity, Savient, IBM, Oracle, OpenText, Microsoft Entra ID, whatsoever is out there, it will be a fit in any case, because we can kind of consume the data. And it does also not relate to whether you're an entitlement-only shop, whether you're a role-based shop, whether you prefer attribute-based access control whatsoever. The tool is quite agnostic in kind of bundling on the right level. And then you're starting with your team doing the kind of analysis and the role modeling approach. And with those results, you show up, give the final presentations, most likely to different stakeholders, more to the techie people, more to the business people, and then you're done and keen to help the customer to improve even deeper.
Very good observation about tool being agnostic. NEXIS can work by itself, of course. It is best working with another system, getting data from it and also sending data. This is very important, because what you are creating, you can send it and provision directly to an IGA system. And as you mentioned, we can work basically with all of them. Of course, there are some of them we are already working with, and many clients, and the others that are under development. But this is a good observation. Yes, it can be used. There is no limitation, both from functional or technical point of view here.
That's great. Yeah, and thanks for mentioning the kind of aspect of writing it back. So at least after the health check. So when it comes to identity, visibility, and intelligence, it's not just about gathering the knowledge, what's going on. It's also very important to make the proper remediation. So when we create roles, it's not just good to have the roles on a PowerPoint presentation or in a tool. It's important to have it represented in the IGA system and in the underlying kind of integrated IAM managed systems. And this is possible as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the conversation with you today. And I think you gave an excellent overview on IC Consult's entitlement and role landscape health check. If I would have a large IGA installation, I would go for sure to do this kind of examination. But however, I'm a bit biased as well, as you can imagine, coming from NEXIS. But I think I would recommend to everyone out there who is either interested or wants to more details to drop a message to you and your team, and to figure out on how you can identify their challenges and help them to improve in their authorization landscape.
Absolutely, we'll be more than happy to answer any question and to discuss it.
Wonderful. Then thanks for your time, Crystal.
Thanks for
Heiko. For the good exchange. Thanks everyone who was listening. Feel free to reach out to Crystal, to myself, to the people you know from both companies, IC Consult and NEXIS. We're more than happy to help you and speak to you soon. And last but not least, there will be a cool unboxing webinar sometime in October when we have presented the new cool features of NEXIS 4.3. And you know those unboxing guys with Apple iPhones and Mac computers and so on. And we do the same with NEXIS. So Crystal will dive deeper into new features and new cool stuff we have released. It's I think we will have some fun in kind of investigating things together, and I'm really excited for our follow-up. Then everyone, thank you and speak to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.